House for the Josh Shaw Football Show. It is sponsored by O'Charlie's Restaurant at 1409 Riverstone Parkway and Canton Tire Wheel at 115 Ridgewood Road. Coach, welcome.
Thank you.
You guys have had a week off, and we're going to be able to catch up on some things we've done in the past. But before you do, let's get that Shottenkirk promo going.
Yeah, our players are out right now. We've got that truck raffle, courtesy of David Booth and Shottenkirk, raffling off a 2017 Dodge Ram pickup truck during halftime of the Senior Bowl. So make sure you see any of your players. We're doing it in partnership with the band, and make sure you see any of our players or any members of the band to get your $5 raffle tickets. Hey, we're trying to sell as many as possible. So
and that's going to be raffled off again
at halftime of the Senior Bowl on December 7th.
December 7th. Okay, thanks, Coach. Now, several weeks ago, Caleb Wade, one of your players, came down with leukemia, very aggressive form. Will you catch us up with Caleb, see what's going on?
Sure. And I haven't talked to him for a little period of time, but Coach Shack, our D-line coach, has talked to him recently, and we have some good news on that front. That he's actually in remission right now, so he'll be coming home here. I think he said later this week, going to his mom's house, and so that's definitely good news.
Well, that's
great. A lot
great.
of prayers answered right
Absolutely, and keep praying. Don't stop praying, folks. Well, last time we got together, Coach, it was totally my fault, folks, and don't forget, we forgot the Players of the Week. But now we're going to have two sets of Players of the Week. Okay, so, Coach, if you'll catch up from Week 6.
Absolutely. Hey, sometimes those things happen. So we just wanted to circle back around to recognize our Players of the Week for the Etowah game. Our Offensive Player of the Week had a long touchdown run that game was Khalil Walker. Our Defensive Players of the Week were both of our defensive ends. It was Justice Scrogan and Jaden Williams. Both of them were co-Players of the Week that week. Deem of the Leg Lines kicked a field goal that game and was our Special Teams Player of the Week. Scout Team Player of the Week was Ty Swanson and Blake Phipps. Both of those youngsters are doing a great job. And then our whooping stick winners for that week was Chandler Cantrell on offense and Jaden Williams on defense. So just to kind of circle back around, that was our Players of the Week for Etowah.
Good. And then let's go on to Walton, Week 7.
Sure. It's been a couple of weeks here. But our Walton Players of the Week was offensively was DeMond Ellison, who just went on his official visit, fresh coming back from that yesterday, and proud to announce that he's committed to be a Mercer Bear next year. So really,
it's going to go with Donnelly,
the
quarterback.
Yep, definitely. So and Tyree Devison, who played down at Etowah, so he's down there. But really excited for DeMond and moving on to that next chapter. So good for him. Any education that's free is definitely a good deal. So Defensive Player of the Week for the Walton game was Grant Hornbuckle. He had a really good game. You know, he's been a very consistent player for us this year. Had a great year for us. Plays our Sam linebacker and really has done a great job. So Special Teams Player of the Week with that long kickoff return for a touchdown against Walton, kind of answered back right away, was Grant Mogilnicki. Grant plays in the secondary for us as well. Really great player. You know, both of those kids right there, they're only juniors, so they'll be back next year as well. So Grant played really well on special teams. He plays, fabulous on the defensive side of the ball as well. Scout Players of the Week for the Walton game was Sean Brubaker, who plays fullback for us. Did a great job, throughout the course of the week. And then Andrew Appling on the defensive side of the ball as well. So he plays nose guard for us. Both young kids doing a great job. So Andrew's only been playing football for a year or two. So whoop and stick winners were Chandler Cantrell again on the offensive side, and then Justice Grogan on the defensive side. I think Chandler, this is his second time getting the whoop and stick, and Justice has either got it 3 or 4 times at this point. So those guys get to keep the stick at the end of the year. So it's a race with 3 games left to see who's going to end up keeping it. So
that's great.
But that's our players of the game for Walton.
Good competition, man. They'll be out there hitting each other's heads the rest of the 3 games to go. Hey, you're watching the Josh Shaw Football Show on SteveMajorSports.com/live. It is sponsored by O'Charlie's Restaurant at 1409 Riverstone Parkway and Canton Tire and Wheel at 115 Ridgewood Road. Well, Coach, you went over to Walton. You won the flip, and you decided to defer to the second half. And then you kicked off, tackled them at this 37-yard line, and they set up 1st and 10 and with Cherokee. And he finds Blaylock on, I guess it was a post route for 63 yards. So we had a lot of fireworks very early.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, they start off right off the bat. You know, Blaylock's committed to Georgia. He's an excellent receiver. You know, it seems like he's been around, you know, playing forever. But right off the bat, they do a play action and hit Blaylock for a deep post. We were in a cover 3, and our safety kind of rolled down, and we didn't have we like to refer to a middle of the field defender as our Griffey player for Ken Griffey, or Ken Griffey Jr., I guess, playing center field. But anyways, we didn't have a safety there, kind of left our corner one-on-one, and Blaylock, you know, you can't just let him be one-on-one. So it was a touchdown right off the bat, not something that we, prefer to do, but, you know, it happened, and try to line back up and play after that. So.
Yeah, but, you know, the fireworks wasn't over. That took only 17 seconds. So we're looking at 11:43. They scored a touchdown, and boom, tell us about what happened next.
Well, they had been pooch kicking, throughout they don't, very rarely did they ever kick it deep, so they had pooch kicking. So we kind of designed, Coach McDaniel did a great job designing a return off the pooch kick. Ball was pooched, and kicked to Grant Mogulnicki, and he ends up taking it, I think 70-something yards all the way for a touchdown. So right away, we've yet to even play a minute of football, and it's already 7-7.
Yeah, it's 11:30. It took you 13 seconds to respond to that first score. So I was saying, wow, if this night's going to be like this, we're going to be in for an awful lot of scoring.
We had some really great blocks up front. Hunter Penley and Anthony D'Angelo and those guys up front on that kickoff return really did a great job.
Yeah, you know, people don't realize what kind of effort these kids on special teams, no matter who you play for, put into this special teams.
Absolutely. I mean, it's really a big emphasis for us, something we really try to focus on and work a lot of fundamentals on. It's also something, we get to do during the off season to get ready for the season. So, anytime you can spark a big play in special teams, it's a third of the game.
So you kick off to it again, then 1st and 10, Cherokee has a 22-yard run. Then they have a run-off tackle, then there's a penalty by Cherokee. Okay, then a completion to Blaylock, a pass completion to Chandler Smith, and they're down at the 9-yard line. And then from there, I think Cherokee runs it in for a touchdown, makes it 14-7 with a point after.
Yeah, we really struggled against these guys. I just was telling our team this morning as we get ready for Woodstock, Walton seems to be the cream of the crop in the region right now. Yep. Coach Bruner has done a fantastic job. I mean, they had a big win over Roswell. They've beaten everybody to this point by a couple of touchdowns, 2 or 3 touchdowns. So they're really explosive offensively. We did not play well defensively. It was definitely our worst game of the season defensively, not only in yardage and points, but just in we had a lot of self-inflicted wounds. A lot of missed tackles. We had a lot of misalignments, and it definitely happened from the first drive all the way throughout the course of the game. So
I think one of the things that made it really difficult for your defense, but you know for sure, was that Cherokee can not only pass, drop back pass, and he's got some good receivers, but also that he runs the ball so effectively. So you can't crash and play really tight all the time on the defenders because they get down the field, then all of a sudden he's taken off.
Yeah, and offensively they don't have a weak spot on their roster. I mean, they're really good up front. They're very physical up front. Like you mentioned, Cherokee he can not only pass, and to the arsenal of receivers that he has, he can also run the ball as well. Number 13, their slot receiver's really good. And then they've got a 6'5" kid that plays opposite, on the outside opposite of Blaylock. So, it's tough. You kind of pick your poison. And then their running back, is really good as well. And, he was kind of an Achilles heel for us as they got the run game going as well. So you gotta kind of pick your poison on who you want to stop and what you want to defend, but they have so many weapons, it's very difficult to do that.
Okay, so after they score that touchdown, then they kick off to you, and Walker picks up 4, stopped on 2nd down, and a Johnson to Ellison pass gets a 1st down. And on first down, another wide receiver to Ellison loses yardage. It's 2nd and 14. Perry picks up 6 yards. Third down, there's an incomplete pass, and you have to punt.
Yeah, we only scored the 7 points, Steve, in the game, and that was off of Mogilnicki's kickoff return. Mm-hmm. But it's almost hard to say. But this was our best game that we've played offensively. Right. Even though we didn't score, we were able to move the ball in between the 20s. And then once again, we had some self-inflicted, wounds. We would, work our way down there, and then we'd jump off sides. We'd lined up for a field goal. Didn't get an opportunity there, made it, and then turn around, and and I'm sure we'll get to that. But we were able to move the ball, down the field. Minus Sequoia, it was our biggest yardage output. So we were able to move the ball, got some things going. Khalil ran tough, Jared Reed ran tough, and Damon, we were able to get him the ball as well, and Kagan played pretty solid as well. So best game of our offensive line as well. So even though it didn't reflect on the scoreboard, there was some progress that we made offensively. Yeah,
you mentioned their running back. One of them was Soyori, and so the next possession, you have 2 running plays, and in first and down, a counter to Jean-Francois, who took that thing down all the way inside, I think about to the 11-yard line. And then Kirksey ran for 8, a wide screen to Blaylock, and then a penalty on Cherokee, a Kirksey sweep. And it's 4th and 6, and you guys are looking good. Hopefully you'll get him. But Kirksey, he finds his wide receiver on a slant, I think, and then it goes to the 11-yard line. And then 11 yards, Kirksey runs it in for a touchdown.
Yeah, on the 4th and 6th play, it was another play. We should have had a DB sitting there, but we blew a coverage and allowed them to complete a pass, and that was it. I mean, we were kind of a step behind all night long. So they did some really good things. It's a testament to how good they are offensively. But like I said, defensively, we had, I want to say that Coach Harvey counted up, and it was like, 14 or 15 missed assignments and blown blitzes, and you just can't do that stuff when you're facing an explosive offense.
Yeah, and you know what? These are the things that you're going to work on this week. Try to get them all right. Getting ready to go to Woodstock. Okay, so you get the ball at the 20-yard line. You have a false start, and then back-to-back, there's a holding call, I think, right behind it. So, man, you got your back to the end zone. Then there's a Johnson to Ellison pass, picks up 12 yards, and then an incomplete pass on third down, and then you have to end up punting the ball.
Yeah, I mean, once again, talk about some self-inflicted, mistakes. I mean, the false start, then we get a holding. And we haven't been penalized very much all year. I mean, I think we've been through 7 or 8 games. We're at like 120 yards that we've been penalized. This game was by far the most. I think we had 7 penalties for 85 yards in this game, 8 penalties for 85 yards. So up into this game against Walton, relatively, we hadn't committed a lot of penalties. But, obviously, it was some of the obstacles that we're trying to overcome. With personnel and injuries and all the other things that we've had to deal with, the adversity we've had to deal with, you certainly don't want to sit there and commit penalties, but it's not like our kids are sitting out there and are like, hey, let's hold on this play.
Yeah, exactly.
So, and a lot of that too is a testament to how good Walton is,
right.
But it puts us behind the 8 ball, and we're trying to dig ourselves out of a hole, and we're not a team this year that's made to be able to dig ourselves out of holes that big.
Then 17 seconds in the first quarter, Kirksey finds a big tight end, Benio. They score a touchdown, get the extra point, and that's getting ready to go. Excuse me, that was just before the half, so I'm ahead of myself a little bit. 72nd half, the Walton leads 7. I am really messed up here. Let's get on the right page. So Kirksey moves the ball down the field. Sorry, Coach, and my viewers. The play in this drive was a fine run by DJ Shoya. That's the one that got him down to the 2-yard line. There was an incomplete pass. A 2-yard run by Blaylock makes the score 28-7 when he puts it in the end zone.
Yeah, they ran a little, brought him on a jet sweep around, and we lost contain, and we had a couple of backups in due to some injuries that we had put in like the play before, and You know, those kids, you know, they don't play like the same as our varsity kids. So, but anyways, regardless, it was, you know, Dominic took a jet sweep and was able just to walk in the end zone. So, puts us down 28-7 at that point.
Right. So you get the ball it's, at the end of the first quarter. You go into the second quarter. Cherokee, a holding penalty, puts you in a hole, and you have to punt. Mikey Farr gets the ball on the punt, returns it for a touchdown. There's a block in the back, so the ball comes back. So after the penalties, and it's 3rd and 2, and Kirksey picks up 19 yards down to the Cherokee 33-yard line, and that was just a backbreaker right there.
Yeah.
Because if you could have stopped and they punt to you, you're going to get the ball.
Yeah, definitely. You know, but it's a great play by him. You know, I mean, he took off running and was able to gain 19 yards. He was really, you know, he's a tough kid to bring down, and he's also a really tough runner, so he's a great athlete. So he does a good job for them. And it's tough anytime you have a running quarterback, because now you're defending 11 instead of 10.
Yeah.
You know, so instead of having a man up defensively, you know, being +1 on the defensive side, when you have a running quarterback, you're even Steven.
So now they're at the 20-yard line, and you talked about the wide receiver that lines up against Dominic Blaylock, and that's 6'5", Tyreek Bisnot, and he hits him on a 20-yard in the right-hand side of the end zone for another touchdown.
Yeah, and I mean, once again, you know, at corner, we're not very, you know, we don't have a lot of height at corner, and when you're facing a receiver that's 6'5", you know, it puts us in a, you know, a little up against the 8 ball a little bit. So, but it was a great pass and a great catch, and you know, to be honest with you, we had really good coverage. It was just, you know, at the end of the day, we're playing with a 5'9" corner, and they had a 6'5" receiver, right. So kind of a mismatch there. So
they kick off to you, and then you're at the 12-yard line. This is a sustained drive. You talked about your offensive line doing some blocking. You want to talk a little bit about this drive as you're moving the ball down the field?
Yeah, I mean, we were able to put together a little bit of a drive and be able to between the run and the pass. You know, Kagan did a good job. Damon had a good game, and we were able to be efficient. And like I said, up front, it was the best game that we've played. We've moved some guys around. We've had some injuries up front, and you know, we've got 3 new kids playing up front, and moved Chandler Cantrell, who started at center. He's played his best 2 games. The past 2 games, he's played right tackle for us. So we've moved him around as well. But we were able to establish a drive and get down. And I think that was the one where we lined up for a field goal, and our guard moves. So now it moves us back 5.
And that's where he actually hit the field goal.
He did.
He got it up and up. It's look good.
Yeah, and you hate that for Dima, because he's such a great kid, and you know, he doesn't get many opportunities. He doesn't complain. You know, I mean, heck, last year he had 10 or 12 field goal attempts. Yeah. You know, this year he's had only a couple. And
now, it was a high snap, so I was saying on the air that it's probably sort of messed his timing up, because you'd like to see that snap come down there, set it down,
without
and
question.
you go really smooth into that kick.
Yeah, he had to hesitate. It was definitely a high snap on the re-kick. The first one was perfect.
Perfect. Yeah.
But then, you know, we have to re-kick it, move it back 5. And Dima's got the leg for that. I mean, he's got the leg. I feel comfortable with him anytime we get within 45 yards. You know, he's even hit some 50-yarders. So, but it was a high snap that Dylan Fulaski, our holder, did a great job of just getting the ball put on the tee.
Right.
But it caused Dima to hesitate for a second, which now knocks off his steps and his rhythm. And, you know, he missed it just a little bit wide right.
So I did get ahead of myself a little while ago when I said that Kirksey hit the tight end. When the next possession, they do hit the tight end, Benny, on a 5-yard play. So then it's 42-7, and then basically third quarter starts, and then there's one more score after that, and so makes the score 49-7. It's like with their backup quarterback.
Yep.
Gets a touchdown later. So. Then, as you get ready for Woodstock on Friday night, Coach Buddy's team, you're very familiar with them, as all the Cherokee teams are probably. What do you see for them offensively?
Well, I mean, they're a lot like we were last year, in which they have a tremendous amount of starters that came back this year. You know, they were a playoff team last year, went to the second round just like we did. Their coaches do a tremendous job down there. They're going to be well coached. But they were bringing back a arsenal of receivers. The Bankston kid on defense they were bringing back, and then Garrett Bass at quarterback. So, they've put up some points this year. They're going to be well coached. They do a great job offensively of trying to create mismatches. It happened last year when, they ran a wheel route with Lewis Hall, caught us with a linebacker chasing them, and it went for 80 yards with 4 minutes left, tied the game up, before we went to overtime. So, but they do a great job. They've been rolling along. They lost a tough one against Lassiter on Friday, but as you know, Steve, Lewis Hall tore his ACL last week from what we've heard in practice, and was unavailable last Friday night, and he was their go-to guy. They still got Frith and some of those other guys offensively, but Lewis was definitely, the glue there, and he's the one that Bass was looking to. He's their leading receiver. He was playing, he played gunner on punt team. He was their return guy on the punt return. So they put him all over the place.
Now, you're talking about Noah Frith, their quarterback. He's fairly similar to Austin Kirksey from Walton as far as he can pass the ball and he can run some.
Yeah, that's Bass, Garrett Bass.
Oh, Bass.
Frith
okay.
is the receiver, but
right.
But yes, he is. Bass has started for. This is his third year starting. He's been an all-county kid. Last 3 years does a really good job. Gets the ball out quick, very really accurate, and so yeah. And he also is a runner. They're not running them as much as they did last year, and I think Coach Buddy's a lot like us in previous years. Last year they had Bass and Liam Burns, so you could afford the luxury of running your quarterbacks a little bit more when you know that you got a backup that you really feel is ready to go and confident in. And this year, Burn graduated, and now they have just Bass. They're running them some, but not near as much as they did last year.
Okay. Before we get into the next segment of the show, I want you to talk about your fundraiser, Casino Night. On the 21st. That's this coming Saturday night.
Yep, this Saturday we'll have our first annual casino night. It's going to be at the Bluffs, Northside Cherokee Bluffs. It's put on by our Touchdown Club and Ed Ragsdale and Amy Turcott, and he's got a whole committee together. We got limited tickets available. You can visit our website at www.CherokeeWarriorsFootball.org. We'll have some of our coaches dealing blackjack, and there'll be a live auction and a really neat, exciting event. So if you're interested, visit our website to get tickets. We're running out of time as that's going to be an event this Saturday. So come on out and join us at our casino night.
And Steve Major Sports is going to have a silent auction there. If you want to have your son interviewed, if you win the silent auction, we'll do a really good job of getting your child interviewed, and look forward to that.
Right on.
Okay. Hey, Coach, exciting night, Saturday night, with the 8th grade junior Warriors. You want to I got a text from a friend, or Jay Speaks, as we can say, and he was saying, showed me the scoreboard. It was 84-82, I think the score was.
86-84.
86-84, and it was like 5 or 6 overtimes. Tell us about some of these players that might be putting on the Cherokee Warrior uniform in the next year or two.
Well, we're really excited. I mean, that Coach Jet Thompson has been with that group since they were, for a lot of years. I mean, they were running our offense back in the 4th and 5th grade when they were playing CYFA, and Alan Swan, whose son is the quarterback, AJ, and it was electric. It was the best young football game football game I've seen. I mean, it was two heavyweights. Woodstock's got a phenomenal running back for their 8th grade team and quarterback, and as well as us, we've got some skilled kids, a drummer and a couple of other kids that are very electric, and AJ playing quarterback, and it was one heavy hit after another. So every time we would answer, they would answer, we would answer, and it went back and forth, and ended up being tied 48-48 at the end of regulation, and then they went back and forth throughout the overtimes. And what was neat about it, Steve, is these are 8th graders, and there was a lot of pressure because a lot of the sending it to the next overtime required a team to, someone got the touchdown and the conversion, and then it forced the trailing team to go for 2 and get their conversion.
Right.
And what ended up happening in the 5th overtime, Woodstock scored first and didn't get the conversion, and then Cherokee answered, and then they got their 2-point conversion to finally end it. So The game started at 7:30. It didn't get over to about 11:15. So it was a marathon, but what an unbelievable game, and just seeing some youngsters making big play after big play. So it's going to be neat to watch as those two teams and those kids come filtering through not only our program but Woodstock's program as well, and kind of see what kind of rivalry continues to grow from that. So
well, I know you and your coaching staff as well as the Cherokee Nation is going to look forward to seeing some of these young players come along in the next couple of years.
Yeah, our 8th grade team right now is 5-2, so they've got Walton this week. Our 7th grade team's got an opportunity. If they beat Walton, they'll be in the playoffs. Got a chance to put 2 out of our 3 teams in the playoffs. So really exciting times with our young groups coming through.
Hey, I hope you get over to Woodstock to watch this Region 4 7A game between the Warriors and Woodstock Wolverines this Friday night at 7:30. And don't forget, Casino Night, 7:30 at the Bluffs on Saturday night. You've been watching the Josh Shaw Football Show. It's been sponsored by O'Charlie's Restaurant and Canton Tire and Wheel. Thank you for watching. Hope you have a good day.